a closer listen to one of those fiery exchanges that took place after the final whistle.
Here's what Erling Haaland had to say to Mikel Arteta.
Shocking from Akanji. Manuel Akanji's done us. He's done us big time. It's going to be 1-0. Yeah, of course it is. Manuel Akanji, mate. What are you doing?
1-0 to Arsenal. Well done, Akanji. Dickhead.
Into a Manu Akanji of all players, and here we go. That's going to be a goal, isn't it?
Dick. Sort it out with this football at the back, man.
Twat! Goal! Odegaard!
Directly Partey scores. Yeah, we haven't even celebrated the first goal yet.
An idiot sandwich.
Oh, they're embarrassing. Another What is Foden doing?
Manchester City. Another mistake from Manchester City. Again. Unbelievable, Phil Foden.
A disgusting deflection. There's definitely a deflection in there.
Unbelievable. The one thing you do when you've just scored is make sure you tighten up at the back and you don't allow an opportunity.
There you go. To all you guys who just love to happy clap everything. There's another goal. Another show of defending.
This defence is absolutely useless. The midfield is absolutely useless.
As well, you little cows, know your age, mate. Know your age. Get the trophies out. What have you got to show for your career? You little pathetic, rat-faced bastard, mate. What the have you got to show for your face nodding with another deflected goal, mate?
I want to mention Gabriel and what he did to Haaland. It happened to me here, actually. Not here, it was at Highbury many, many years ago where a player came up and screamed in my face.
I actually don't like it. I think it's a bit disrespectful. I get the fact that Haaland's the sort of the pantomime villain here today, but there's something about it that I didn't...
Shut the f*** up, man. When Haaland was going through that bad run, people were saying it's not good enough. Shut the f*** up, man.
Havertz. Even Havertz just scored now. Yeah, it's over, guys. It's over. Literally every time Arsenal attack, they score a goal.
5! I got back to him! I got the 5! I got 5 on it!
Absolutely embarrassing stuff.
Welcome back to the Top 6 show. A very interesting weekend of football. It's also transfer deadline day. So we've got transfer stories, a review of the weekend's games, an inquest into the disasters at Manchester United and currently Chelsea with its results, whether it's transfers as well. We're looking back at, of course, the big one yesterday, Arsenal smashing, humbling, finishing Manchester City. But strangely, the angry interior reaction from Liverpool fans online with weird accusations, and you pull that face, Tom, I've got the evidence to put on the screen to show you. The biggest Liverpool accounts in the world, even getting community noted because of their reactions. I don't get it. I don't understand, because Arsenal are not scary. Arsenal are not dangerous. Arsenal are not even rivals. But the panic has been crazy. We've got a wonderful panel. We've got man like George, who has gone from despair to happiness regarding the news, to man like Matthias Tell. We've got Igal in the house. We've got Henry Talks Tottenham, and hopefully he'll be talking Tottenham on this show. Henry Talks Football, talking a little bit of Tottenham on the show. Fresh haircut as well. And next to him, looking like a young Stephen Gately from Boyzone, is man like Tom Little. How are we, gentlemen? We all good and well?
Yeah.
Yeah,
very well.
Yeah.
I had a good weekend, winning the seemingly impossible game at Bournemouth away.
You somehow triggered the whole world with a goal celebration.
Can we just do what? Did everyone here get 3 points? Because I did.
Nah.
I did, yeah.
Oh, nah. Sorry, Terry. You can't join the party.
It's good. It's good. We had what I got was a few good passages to play, if that makes sense, and a good bit of PR from my club today is about all I got. I love Maradon though. Terry, explain why Liverpool were angry. I can just show you a few things here. Okay, I'll just show you a few. We're going to talk about it later, but I'll show you a few things. You've got the biggest Liverpool account in the world saying Arsenal fans singing, "Are you watching Merseyside?" They weren't. Arsenal fans were singing, "Are you Tottenham in disguise?" So angry at Arsenal's win that the cognitive dissonance stopped them from hearing. You've got prominent Liverpool journalists. All the Arsenal gloating and stay humble stuff works if you're 10 points clear or something. That's a Liverpool journalist. Go look at his articles when they smashed up Man United a few years ago when they were 5th. Go look at the articles when they were 3rd and they beat Man United 4-1 a few years ago. Go and look at the articles when they celebrated a draw against West Brom all those years ago. Not gonna lie, I would be fuming if any of our kids did that before or winning any major trophies. Nonsense. When one of your youngsters scored the other week, there was a Mardi Gras, and rightfully so. We're going to get onto that later, but Maradon the moron. I am like you. I'm in shock that so many Liverpool fans have reacted with absolute, so angry out there. It's crazy to me because I didn't think Arsenal were a threat, but yet your actions, again, seem to be a little different. But loads to talk about today. The first thing I wanted to jump into first was actually the big, maybe the shock transfer news of the day, and that is that Tell signs for Tottenham. It was only about 3 days ago. Most of the reports said that he had turned down the opportunity. And there is a little confusion in this because it was then reported that he wants Man United and agreed to join Man United, but Bayern Munich only wanted a loan with an obligation to buy, and they wouldn't accept just a loan deal. But he's going to Tottenham on just a loan deal. So I'm sure that's going to come out in the wash around why it was different for Tottenham than Man United. But I will just say this from the off. I think he's young and he's raw and he isn't the finished article, but I think it's a phenomenal piece of business for Tottenham. I'm not going to change my mind because my club didn't get him. I'm gutted that United haven't found a way to get this done. But George, I'm going to go to you first. How impressed are you with this business and how excited are you to see Tell in a Tottenham shirt?
Yeah, no, it's some good bit of business for us. I think the biggest surprise for me is as I've pretty much accepted over the weekend. He's not coming us. He's rejected Spurs. I know. Made the video. Everyone was like, "Oh, he's rejected Spurs," and it was all a laugh for a couple of days. But now, he ends up at my club. He literally in London having his medical done. And like you said there, I think, to be honest, the loan works out best for all parties. Because like you've highlighted, I don't think that he's what we need to fill the gaps that Spurs have entirely. We need an experienced player, someone that can come into that front line and really take us to the next level. Now, he's not the needle mover or the guy that's going to take us from 15th to 8th or 10th in the league this season, but he's a different road profile for what we have at the moment, and for what we need on the pitch, he definitely can add something to us, and he's going to grow himself with the minutes that he's going to get. I think one of the key points of why he would have chose Spurs over some of the other teams is because we're still in all competitions. We have a lot of minutes to go around, and he's going to be able to get a lot of game time playing with Spurs. But more importantly than anything is, like you've highlighted, is we just got the deal done. I think Spurs needed an attacking improver. We needed someone to come in, and I'm just glad at this point they managed to. I don't know what they've done. I want to know what sort of thing happening behind, because
can I give you a theory I've got? And it's, again, Spurs fans listening, if you take this as a dig, you need to stay off the internet for a while because your brain ain't operating correctly. You need a rest. I think it's something to do with Harry Kane, in the sense of a little bit of money shaved off. Maybe you extend the payment terms. And by the way, that's good business. I think you've done, if they've said no to Man United, no to Arsenal, no to Chelsea for a straight loan, the only team that's got a sort of, you've got an ongoing deal with Kane because they owe you money. I'm thinking maybe something around that where you shaved a bit of money off or said, look, maybe this year you can miss your payment and send it next year. I'm just spitballing here. But
I would agree.
I think it'll be some clever business from Levy like that.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like Levy, you know, wheeling and dealing like Del Boy. He's going to try and get a deal done with whichever way it works out. If that means he's got to take some money off a deal for Harry Kane, it is what it is. I think at this point, like, we're just happy to have a player in. We're just happy to have a player in. It's been a while since Spurs fans can really have a smile on their face. We've got 3 points and a clean sheet to make the weekend even better. And what a way to start deadline day. Yeah, man, I think Spurs need to still go out there and make some proper business moves. But I'm just happy. Like I said, the obligation, I was worried when I saw Tottenham are going to spend 50 million euros or 60 million euros on another youngster, another unproven quantity. That's where I started to worry. But now, look, save some funds, got a player till the end of the year. And to be honest, he probably would have improved most teams that were in for him. So he's an improvement to our attack and can't complain with that.
Yeah, Terry, did Manchester United mess up the deal? Were they trying to do something?
We don't know yet, and that's why I'm annoyed. So when it comes to Man United, I want to make it more about Tottenham, but I'll answer your question because we'll get onto United later. I'm annoyed we're not bringing anybody in, but I'm not going to be angry about the deal per se because I kind of agree with George. I didn't want an obligation to buy because there's a rawness in him, and you agree £50 million obligation to buy and he's whack, then you're stuck with this player. So I'm not necessarily annoyed that we didn't do a deal that we weren't happy with because we've done so many deals in the last 11 years we're not happy with. So I can't be a hypocrite and suddenly say, just pay whatever it takes and do whatever it takes because that's a ridiculous way to look at things as a football fan. However, I'm disappointed we haven't got him or somebody else that's high up on our priority list, but I'll have to wait and see the reasons why, because from the outside looking in as fans, looking at all the news from the German outlets, the British outlets, the European outlets, Bayern Munich was saying no to a straight loan. So if the only way Spurs have got it is because they've done something with the Kane deal as an example, I can't be too angry because we don't have that mechanism in place. However, I think we've left the squad short for the remainder of the season up front. I can't deny that fact. So, frustrated. Henry, from your point of view, I'm not sure if you made any content about this today on your channel or not, but are you happy with this business?
Yeah, I see a lot of people have been mentioning that. But yeah, there was a video out. It went out a couple of hours ago. But yeah, in terms of Tell, I think it suits both parties because he wants minutes. And for the only thing, the downside of it, I think Solanke's injury might be a little bit more serious than we think. That's why we were desperate to bring in a forward. He can play out for left. He can play as a number 9 as well. But like you said, there's a bit of an unknown there because he's a bit of a raw talent, isn't he? He's got some decent numbers in Germany, but playing for a team like Bayern Munich against some of the Bundesliga sides, I expect him to have relatively good numbers. It's just the funniest thing about it is his debut is going to be against Man United. His Premier League debut will be playing against the team that was also battling out for him. But yeah, I actually like if we can get what it's unlikely, but if we can get one more over the line between now and then, we are looking at the Sassy, which I'd do my nut if we sign him. But if we can bring in someone else, we are looking at another defender. I don't think the window's been horrendous.
The Ange high line.
Yeah, exactly. It's a marriage in disaster that. Like he'd do his hamstring in 4 games. I'm that confident. But look, it feels a bit like someone's birthday. We've got 3 points against a tough away opponent. We've come out of a clean sheet, and it's the start of a huge week for us. I want to see Tell, and I can't remember the young centre or the Austrian centre back we've signed in the mix. Not necessarily playing 90, but I want to see him in the mix against Liverpool and Aston Villa. I don't think Van der Ven's gonna play the Liverpool game. I think they're gonna manage his minutes, but in terms of the signing,
I think he plays that Liverpool game. Didn't they come out and confirm that he wouldn't play he didn't play yesterday, so they could save him for that Liverpool game?
He won't be fully fit for 7 days, but I think he could play 45.
Yeah.
But you don't want him to go and play 90 against Liverpool and then he gets injured again. But in terms of Tell, 60 million euro, the initial fee, I was like, that's a lot of Tottenham's budget for an unproven player. If we was going to spend that on centre back or a DM that we desperately need, then fair enough. But it's a good bit of business, you know. I just can't believe that we're bringing in a striker and there's teams out there that Man United, Arsenal, and Chelsea have been desperate to do business and haven't done anything. But yeah, fair play to Levy and Co because he brought in a couple of good players.
Henry, focus.
Sorry,
I said focus, Henry. Focus. Bro.
No, I am focused. Huge week though. If we go and beat Liverpool, that's the perfect way for Ange to get a lot of the fan base back on side.
Of course, massive week for yourself. And by the way, on your game yesterday, I thought you were brilliant. Brilliant. And I spoke about this for so many weeks about Spurs. It's about playing to your means. And you did that yesterday due to injuries and where you were playing. You were compact, hard to beat, resolute. You fought hard. All those balls that were crossed in, the line was deep. I bet if you got the stats out, the high line for large parts of that game was 20 foot deeper on average in that match. And for me, that's what I want to see Ange do more of. Just objectively speaking, it's know who you're up against and understand that you can't always play a high line. You can't always be the aggressor. When you're at home, it's a little more difficult because teams will often just give you the ball. Palace did that to us yesterday. They would have the ball, try and break us down. They were hitting us on the counter, and that happens. It's why Man United tend to do a little bit better away from home than we do at home because teams attack us a little bit more. And we have to understand who we are and what we are at this moment in time. You know, there are still people that think that's why they're already turning on Amorim because these are the same as I've done streams with some of you for 5, 6, 7 years. The same people that told us to just sack in Jose would fix this. Of course, they're just going to turn on the manager, but they're stupid. They're wrong. They're toaster people. Anyone who's new to the show, that means I wouldn't trust them with a toaster. So I don't trust their opinions on football. Certainly not. But yeah, look, very, very good yesterday, Tottenham. A massive week. I hope you knock Liverpool. I mean, I still want it. I want the North London derby final because I'm just here for the carnage. I'm just here for the reaction to whichever team loses because it will be beautiful. So nothing to do with, no disrespect to Newcastle or Liverpool. It's honestly that final. We all know that final would be the best final to watch from a neutral standpoint as well. But also the worst final for Arsenal and Liverpool, Arsenal and Tottenham fans, because I don't think you really want each other in the final, do you?
I want Arsenal.
Oh, you want Arsenal?
Right, nobody's scared of Spurs in any scenario, bro. We want them.
Honestly, Tottenham fans probably want Newcastle. Let's not lie.
See, no, I do you know what I think? I get your point, right? I think deep down inside, this is what Arsenal fans think. We ain't scared of Tottenham most times, but to lose a final to them, the level of bragging rights that gives them is massive.
I know what you mean in terms of the chances. It's a one-off game, so there's always a chance. I hear it, but I don't fear Spurs, man. They're not the guys for the big occasion, especially on the cup final.
From what we've seen on the weekend versus Man City and how we played Tottenham this season twice, if we were to beat Newcastle, I'd feel very confident. Where going into that game, I think Tottenham fans, in order to win a trophy, you'd rather face a team who doesn't win trophies like Newcastle.
Yeah, but that could also be the downfall.
No, but you know what, Ego?
That's the wrong way to look at it because I think that you give Newcastle an opportunity to be up for it more than any other team. The fact they've not won a trophy in 60 odd years, the fact they went to Carabao Cup final just 2 seasons ago, gives them the opportunity that whoever they do place, whether it's Tottenham or Liverpool, I think they're going to be well up for the final. And I wouldn't want to play them.
I think Newcastle have more chance of beating Spurs in the final than they do. Sorry, I'm going to get it wrong. Yeah, I think they'll be more buoyed by getting. Sorry, what was around this? Oh, my head has just gone.
Arsenal.
I think Tottenham. have got a better chance in the final against Arsenal than they do Newcastle.
Yeah,
that's what I was meant to say. Sorry, my head.
Do you know what, Terry? Do you know what, Terry? Every single cup final that Newcastle are about to go into, that's the narrative, isn't it? And they never turn up. So I hear it, but every time they say, "Oh yeah, they've not."
Wouldn't you be? But wouldn't it be fair to say that this team right now is probably one of the best teams they've had going into a cup final? Because this team's very good, Newcastle. Let's not lie.
No, but out of the 4 teams remaining, Tottenham's
didn't have Shearer, mate.
First.
Out of the 4 teams remaining, Tottenham's the worst, though. We can admit that. And with your injuries to your defense, what does
that even mean?
George,
what does that even mean? You guys are 2-0 down going into your cup semi-cup.
No, but it's just a fact.
We're not talking about this scenario. We're talking about the quality.
It's not even an insult. It's just a fact. Newcastle are categorically a better side than Tottenham this season, based on the season and how they performed throughout the season and where they are in the league. Arsenal and Liverpool don't even talk to them. So. What am I saying? That's ridiculous.
No, go on. It's cool. Go on. You can feel that way. You guys ain't getting through to the next round.
Feel that way. It's not a feeling.
That was right. But I get where I see it from George. George don't even need to explain, and I know exactly what he means because we all got brains here. He is thinking more scenario. Spurs are more likely to get into the final than Arsenal in terms of current situation. That is true. However. We'll get onto Arsenal a little bit later, but with the win yesterday and the goals and Newcastle's poor home form, again, I think there's a door that's slightly ajar that if Arsenal go into that semi-final with the right attitude, the right intensity, get an early goal, they can turn it around. If you go there and you're too passive, you've got to silence St James's Park, because that place is going to be a fucking cauldron on Wednesday night. It is going to be electric.
Newcastle in
Massive.
I can't even remember who their semi-final was when they got to it. I think it was like Southampton or something was the semi-final last time.
I think it was, yeah.
So it wasn't like this big cup semi-final for them to really. This is it for Newcastle. This is their big cup semi-final, second leg. They're carrying a lead at home against a good side. That atmosphere will be ridiculous.
You just seen what we did to the champions last year, and you just seen what Bournemouth did to Newcastle. Anything can happen. I believe we can do it.
Do you know what? I'm with Igal. Anything can happen. My issue with the scenario is, I believe we can go out there and score 3 goals at St James's Park. But do I believe we won't concede any goals? I can't confidently say that this season, because of how we've been. So that's
Bournemouth just did it to them in the league. Bournemouth beat them 4-1, right?
Yeah, but Igal, you've got to look at this is it for Newcastle. This is realistically the biggest game of their season. This is a chance to go to a final at Wembley. They're 2-0 up. And whether we like it or not, the way Newcastle played it, the way their strengths are as a football team, it plays directly into the hands of the way the fixture's shaping up. Arsenal have to go out and attack, which means there's going to be space on the counter.
And they scored, by the way, they did score against Bournemouth as well. They did get a goal in that game.
To rebuttal, though, it was a 2-goal lead that we needed to catch up to them, right? So we could win 3-1, and it will go to penalties.
I see that scenario.
And also, off the back of the performance that we just had versus City, and I don't want to get into that game fully yet, but just looking at that, I'm telling you right now, Newcastle fans are like, holy shit, these guys are looking good just before they play us. And that mentality of this is their biggest game. What was the City game for us? City could have ended our season.
So listen, 100% you can do that. It's going to be a tough game. It's doable. This is the thing. It's doable that Arsenal win. But I also think that's why if you do it, it's a massive win, because it's fucking hard as well. So it's a real difficult one. I want to stand the transfer for a minute before we get onto yesterday's games and kind of preview what's coming up for clubs, etc. Obviously, we've seen Marcus Rashford today join Aston Villa, and I have to say I'm very, very happy to see. It's kind of miraculous, and I don't know what it is, and I need your help because I don't have my IQ is not high enough. Suddenly, everyone loves Rashford again. Like, something's happened in the last 24 hours, and I'm seeing good luck from Liverpool fans, good luck from Newcastle fans. Oh, I'm so happy for it. It's something. I don't know.
Are you surprised though, Terry?
No. When you're a Man United player, we all know the whole world hates you. So I am happy. I'm not happy to see him go. I wanted him to stay at the club for the rest of his life and career. I get why he's gone, but I am very happy to see suddenly everyone thinks he's good again and rates him. It's just interesting, that, isn't it? But yeah,
I'm not quite sure if they rate him, but they're happy for him.
Bro.
And for me, it's just like when Bale left Tottenham. I followed his career. Then I'm enjoying Harry Kane at Bayern Munich. I enjoyed Beckham at Real Madrid. I enjoy all these things. It's not necessarily that they've become good.
It's what Kundle is like alluding to there. Once like a player leaves a rival club, you can start to appreciate them properly for what they are and appreciate the way that they play. Because he's no longer at Man United, he's no longer that huge target on his back. I no longer have to cook him every week because he's a Man United player. I don't have to come on here with an agenda and be like, do you know what, that Marcus Rashford performance? Now we're probably going to look at it and be like,
are you admitting to agendas, George? Are you admitting to agendas?
Performance. We're going to start praising him for doing the minimal things now.
And to be fair, it's your own fans, Terry.
And that pressure's going to go. And when that pressure leaves, we all said this is what's mad. Anthony got man of the match in his first game in La Liga yesterday, and he looked good. He was beating people for pace. No, he did look good. I don't watch a lot of the league. I watch the big teams play. I watch the El Clasicos and stuff. But I went and watched the extended highlights, and it was little things I was looking for because he still is my player. He's on loan. I'm watching him. The first touch was there. He was taking the ball on the half turn past people. He looked like prime Phil Foden. I'm sitting there going, before it would take you 3 touches and a long turn to beat someone in the Prem. But yeah, Rashford is going to go to Villa. And he is going to look sensational. He's going to look sensational.
Terry, you know what the crazy thing is, though? Aston Villa are a team that's challenging for top 4, and they're in a better position than you guys in the league, and you guys are helping them out. Don't you look at it? Don't you look at it as like you're helping a direct team that would be taking a league position from you?
No, we got Manchester
You
United
got
are not
no,
in
that's
any
too much.
battle for a Champions League.
Yeah,
spot
they're not
this
battling
season.
Villa, right?
Bro, I get it. I get
The
it.
top
But
half.
If it was Brentford, maybe
You're
I'd
battling us at
understand.
the moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, there is an element of that. There is an element of that. It may be in the future, but we are nowhere near that at this particular juncture. There's a lot of United fans today that are really suffering bad because they're getting the realization of how bad our problems are. But again, they're going back to default, which is create weird agendas against the manager. Soon you'll start to, it won't be long until you start hearing things like he's got favorites. That's all going to come soon. I know exactly what they're all going to do because it's the same pattern as they did with the other managers, because they just want a quick and instant reaction, resolution, and there isn't one. And I feel it was an interesting report that came out today that I wholeheartedly believe there might be some issues between the manager and player. The report said even if Amorim got sacked today, it's unlikely Rashford comes back. His relationship with the club has broken down. And some of that will be things he's done. I think some of that is some of the toxic, poisonous fans that have been attacking him for the last 3 or 4 years. The guys, by the way, that said drop him and we'll improve. If you come across anyone on Twitter that's ever said once Rashford's out of the team, we'll become a much better team, again, stop listening to those people. They were chatting nonsense. Rashford was never the problem, the same as Pogba wasn't, Martial wasn't, Fellaini wasn't, Rooney wasn't. They've all been targeted in this way. And I think that fallings out with managers, I also just think being in one place too long in life is very few players are one club players through the history of football. So, yeah, look, I think it's the right thing for him and the club. I hope he does well because then we'll get that £40 million at the end of the year and we can reinvest it and hopefully bring someone in that improves us. So, yeah, it's bittersweet for me. I'm really happy. Listen, this man is a 2-time FA Cup winning, 2 times League Cup winning, European Cup winning player at Manchester United, over 130 goals, over 60 assists. Now, I'll say this, there's current squad of Liverpool and City has people that have done better than that, but that is better than 95% of all Premier League football players have ever achieved. We're being absolutely honest. So he's still got a very good Premier League, very good career. He's done a lot of great things for Man United, and I just, wish him absolutely all the best. And I'm kind of glad to see people suddenly appreciating him and knowing how good he is. I think within 6 months he'll be back in the England squad as well.
He could be playing for Barcelona in the summer because they wanted to sign him.
Maybe. It could be.
I think he will
Let's calm down here, bro.
He'll have 3 or 4 good games, and then the narrative will immediately be on Ruben saying, look what he's missing. Ruben's not a good enough manager. But Rashford can go and express himself now. He like you said, that Man United shirt holds a hell of a lot of weight. Every single game you play, there's a lot more eyes on you. It reminds me of like when Maddison signed for Spurs in terms of it's not a good example, but essentially there's not a huge amount of pressure on him now to play at Villa.
At least you're honest.
He can play every week
but
without being criticised.
There is a much bigger amount of pressure going from Leicester to Tottenham. I know they won the league in 2016, but there is more pressure. There is more eyes, but it works in reverse. And look, the narrative is there, and it will be spun. Look at Amorim could have had. And again, but that's the narrative that the Sun newspaper are going to write. It's that the readers of the Sun newspaper are the people that will find it entertaining. The Man United fans who want a quick hit. I could grow some followers here. I could get a few views. I know what they're going to do. It's going to be obvious. They'll ignore the matter of fact that 90% of the players have left the club in the last 11 years, have gone on to do much better elsewhere, and they'll hone in on this like it was problem for him. But we've seen McTominay leave before Amorim even was the coach, and look, he's tearing up Serie A as an example. We saw years before that, we all wanted as Man United fans Darmian and Ashley Young to lead the football club. Went to Inter, both teared it up. Darmian still doing well in Italy as an example. Smalling stands out. There's multiple examples of players that do very, very well, and I'm expecting him to do the same. And Anthony started off very, very well. And I'm not surprised because they will feel they'll feel like they can run faster and jump higher because the pressure is less. And I don't even mean that as a disrespect to Aston Villa. But yeah, look, it had to happen. The only bit I'm frustrated about, and I've tweeted about it today and spoke about it on other shows, I'm heavily disappointed in Ineos that they've left the squad short. I think it was the right thing to do to let him go. But we have 4 attackers now, 2 of which don't score. 1 we're not sure if the club wants, and then there's Ahmad, and it's an awful amount of pressure on him. It doesn't appear like we're going to, but I think we should maybe take an academy player or 2 out so they start getting some game time. And it's an interesting one because a lot of United, I wanted a body, but I don't just want us to waste money either. So I'm in this like weird place of, I wish we got Tell. I like him. I wanted us to go and break Eucharist's release clause as an example of that. I wanted that. Players that I know we really are after as a club. What I'm happy we haven't done is what we've seen Chelsea just try and rectify. Oh, we can't get the striker that we want. Oh, let's get João Felix and waste money on him and then get rid of him 6 months later. So there's elements I'm frustrated with, but I'm also happy that we're not doing what we have done in previous January windows where you end up without Weghorst and you waste, because it still costs you money. It might cost you 5 million in a loan fee and in salary, and that eats into the budget for other players. So I'm heavily frustrated that we didn't execute this window to the best of our ability. At the same time, I'm happy that we haven't panic bought and gone and dropped, I don't know, 20 million pounds to Crystal Palace and taken Edouard or someone like that. Because that's the kind of thing we've done before. And that would just be, but that's the kind of thing we've done. And we'd waste the money. And we'd all go, oh, maybe here at United we'll get more chances. And we all thought that with Weghorst. Oh, I know he didn't do well at Burnley, but maybe he can come here. It's all a waste of money. So it's a very frustrating January window from an incoming point of view for the club. And, Amarim's got his work cut out now.
You got a couple secret weapons in the squad, though, Terry.
We've got a couple of secret weapons.
Yeah, you got them 2 Halem boys. You got the one you signed in summer, the one you just signed. You're good, bruv. You can put
he actually might play now that Martinez is injured.
He actually could get a start. What's it, the Nigerian boy?
He may. Listen, I wouldn't even mind. Listen, Martin still looks really raw, but I wouldn't mind. Listen, we tried Mainu in a false 9 position yesterday, and look, we lost the game, so it got a lot of stick. I wasn't as angry about him trying it as some people are sort of pretending to be online. We've seen other managers in the Premier League take midfielders and play them in false 9s and it work. And ironically, we had a couple of really good chances to go ahead. If we'd have gone ahead and we'd have won the game, everyone would have said he was a genius, right? And there's always that fine line. But for me, I look at it and think I'd rather give Obi Martin a game. We're either going to be as bad or better. So at least give him an opportunity. For me, I would be going to the academy now and saying, right, you young man, you're being promoted. We're going to give you some game time. That's what I would do. Again, and not even just the Arsenal boys that we've brought in, but we've got a young midfielder in there, Kone, that looks very, very talented. Give them some game time. We've got Harry Amas that plays in a left wing back role. Again, I just want to see him given a chance. We're very short now, but that's what I would do.
If you do that, it is going to come with a lot of pain and suffering. And I don't think your fan base are going to be able to withstand.
But it already is pain and suffer, though.
No, I get that. But throwing away throwing in a bunch of kids, having them develop, there's going to be so many errors throughout that, and it's going to put a lot more pressure on a manager who's just walked in through the door. I'm already seeing.
I hear that. Not at Man United, though. Sorry, Kundle, not at Man United. So the people you're talking about online, you're right, but those people, let me just tell you this now. Those Man United fans online, typically, especially the ones that are nameless and faceless, we could be on course for a treble and they'd find something to moan about because they get engagement through negativity. So
even our buddy Dan.
Dan's an anomaly here, right? Dan's an anomaly. Dan thinks what he thinks, right? And that's it. But the vast majority of Man United fans, if Obi Martin, Kone, and Amas were promoted to the first team squad and were playing, there would be
excited.
There would be excitement. There'd be more leeway and there'd be more encouragement of, okay, come on, lads. Like we know you're young. We know you're inexperienced. We're going to give you that kind of that time to be nurtured and develop. That's not the same pressure as a 72 million pound signing who's been here 18 months and can't control a ball. So the scrutiny would be different. Of course, you're right. There's some people online like Danny who want Amarim gone already, doesn't trust Ineos. Fair enough. At the same time, if you don't trust Ineos, I wouldn't be calling for the manager to be sacked because who they're going to replace him with? Someone else you don't like? That's another conversation for another day that I can't speak about because Danny's not here and I'd love to ask him some questions. But the noisy people online, remember, these are the same people that said if we sack Ten Hag, we'll improve. They're the same people that said Ollie had a title-winning squad. As soon as he gets sacked, we're winning the league. It's the same people that said that Paul Pogba was a virus, and once he's gone, you'll see our club fly. No one really takes them seriously in the Man United fan base because they've been wrong about so much. In fact, they're wrong about nearly everything in terms of their overarching point. It's all just about engagement for them. So, and that's not Danny, by the way. Danny has a view of the way the club's being run poorly, and I respect that because at least he actually makes a point, explains it, and then gives a conclusion and a solution to what he wants to happen. Most of the time, it's just very airy-fairy. Sack the manager, bring in a better coach. will be fixed. I mean, we've been saying that for 11 years and it's never worked, yet they want to keep repeating the same thing. And I heard a United fan say this on I think it was on the Stretford paddock the other day. They were asked a question, should Amorim be adapting to the players? And this young man that was on there, he's like an academy expert. He also looks very strange. He looks like Park Ji-sung and Scott McTominay had a baby together.
I saw that. I did.
Yeah. When I read that, I was like, oh my God, he does, right? But he's very knowledgeable. And he just said something that was very well articulated. And it was simply put, for 11 years, we've continued to watch managers adapt to the players and it's failed each time. We should just do the opposite this time round. And that's the headspace I'm in. So you get comments like this. It says, Terry, so the window was closed. Rashford and Anthony are out and not replaced. Please spin this as to how Ineos have done a masterclass and have a clear plan. But I haven't and I won't. So when you asked me about this 3 or 4 weeks ago, I said that if they do a bad job, I'll criticize it. But me criticizing a bad window or me seeing a bad window doesn't mean I'm going to throw baby out with the bathwater and change my complete stance on them as of now. City, I believe, have just had a brilliant transfer window. But the only reason they spent in this January and went so big is because the previous 3 or 4 were poor. You can have bad windows and you can make mistakes. They'll be criticized, but I'm going to judge them over a longer period of time. That's my stance. I could end up being right about that. I could end up being wrong about it, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. However, when it comes to what we're speaking about here in the management of the club, I don't want us to do things that we've done time and time again and failed. I want us to implement a style of play. I want us to build the squad with the profiles that make that work over a period of time. And the interesting thing for me, which I don't think fans are ignoring, is Amorim told us this was going to happen. He literally said between now and the first 6 months, 7 months, we are going to get exposed. We're going to have many painful days. There's going to be loads of ups and downs. And for the next year or so, it's going to be horrible. But he says after that, you will then see the fruits of that labor. He says if we just adapt to the players now and play a way of getting the best results possible, it will work for a short period of time. But in 18 months, we're back here again. And that's why I have a little bit of trust in this. Not in everything Ineos do, but I have a little bit of trust in it because the man has predicted exactly how it's gone. I thought he was being a little bit cautious. Turns out he's been absolutely spot on. And then the more you research it and the more of the experts you listen to, changing a club's style of football mid-season the way we are is a ridiculously hard job, and it creates problems like this. So I'm just not going to panic at this point. The criticism of this January is spot on. Loads of players aren't good enough. But there was a tweet earlier on today from a lady called Rachel, who's a United fan. And I believe in this wholeheartedly at this particular moment in time. I want to read it out, and then I'm going to shut up talking about United. And she said, new manager comes in. This is pre-season. We need to be patient. Manager's first game. Oh, we need new players for his system. A couple of months later, manager out. That's the cycle of Man United fans every single time. So for me, the reason I'm pushing back against it, forget Ineos for a moment, forget it's Amorim. I'm pushing back against a cycle that has seen 6 failed managers on the bounce. I want to do it different, at least because it might end up in a better scenario, not following the same pattern again and again and again. I don't get it.
Well, it is.
It's crazy.
I understand where you're at because I think I'm in a very similar situation with Tottenham. I feel like you just have to persist with a manager to get, you have to get through the really bad times with a manager to then come out on a better side with regards to the squad, the team, and everything as a club as a whole. And I feel like I think some Man United fans aren't taking into the fact that they always said it was going to be a process. And Amorim said when he came in, straight from the jump, I'm not going to work miracles. I cannot just make this team into a competitive team. I'm not that manager. You have certain managers out there that can lift the floor of a team from here to here, and they look great. Lifting the floor of a team is great, but sometimes those managers can't get the best. When they do have a great squad together, they don't really know what to do with that squad because they're just about getting the best out of the players available. Yeah. Now, I think Amorim, you're starting to see he's got one of those players in Patrick Dorgu, who I think it improves the whole system because the way that he plays and the way that he's going to fill in is going to give Manchester United one side of that pitch where they can really overload. Let's just say that left-hand side of the pitch, they know Dorgu's down on that side. Let's just say Diallo goes there. I know he doesn't play on the left very often, but let's just say he does for example. You can overload that left-hand side of the pitch and guaranteed when you're going forward, that's the side of the pitch that's going to be better. That's going to be creative. That's going to be attacking. So for Man United fans, just
playing out of position.
Yeah, that's
They've
facts.
got Martinez's injury to deal with now as well because he's out for the rest of the season.
I think look, and people just need to be patient with.
Yeah, he's done his ATL. Romano said it about an hour ago.
He's done.
You know,
they've just got to be patient with Amorim to like you said, Tel, he's not going to implement the full style of the way that he wants to play. But the players that do stay for next season and the season, those players are going to grow so much more. And that so when he does play his system, they're probably going to be your key players. For
that fact, George. Sorry, quickly. I'd say if I'm a Man U fan, I'm kind of like the window year has been rubbish. The summer's been rubbish. Let's keep it a buck. But I'm kind of in the sense of where over the last couple of years, I've been looking at this football thing, and what I've noticed is a lot of managers are relying on windows a lot. There's not enough coaching with what you've got going on, and so I'd be, as a Man U fan, I'd be wanting them to look within the squad and bred in some youth players, even if it's just a style of play we have. At least I've got some people that know what it's like, what it means to play for Manchester United, other than the players that I keep giving a clean slate. There's loads of players in your squad that we all know that they're rubbish. They don't deserve a clean slate. You should be rather trying it out with these youngsters and then breading them into the team and forcing Amorim to actually coach these players and having a big summer in window at the end of the season. That's what I think.
Prioritize the Europa League because that's your route into the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, look, potentially, and I think we got to prioritize staying up first, but which I think we will, to be fair. And yeah, look, we've not been bad in the Champions League. Sorry, the Europa League this year, and there is an opportunity there, and we'll see what the draw looks like, and we'll give it a go. But I agree with both you, George and Kundle. Like, I'm just in that space, and there's an interesting comment that came through that I want to read because I'd like to interact with the viewers. It says, "Terry, you called for all those managers to be sacked, but what you're doing there, Rumble, is you're removing the context of my rationale. So one, I never said that sacking any of those managers would by itself fix us. And this is what we're talking about here. I was never part of the Ollie in, Ollie out, Jose in, Jose out, Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out crew, because those people are liars and charlatans. I said that the sacking and appointment of all those managers and the new people that came in was if we don't create a structure, implement a set style of football. And I always said I didn't care what the style of football was. I have my own preference, but I'm objective about it. You need to build a squad for that manager, but then you need to have a plan that lives beyond that manager. So the next person comes in, picks up the mantle, like slotted Liverpool as an example, and you move on. The reason why Jose had to go is because of the toxic relationship developed between him and his players. Untenable, as an example. Ollie, for me, reached the maximum level that he could. And if you go back and watch the video when he was sacked, it was on the Man United website, and they spoke about how we built the squad, we built the structure, we were ready to go to another level. And then we bring in Ten Hag, start rebuilding it in a completely different way instead of continuing that process, and it falls apart. Then Ten Hag tells us he was never going to try and implement the style of play that he's famed for. And we got new owners come in, and I said, so based on him not implementing what he's famed for, and new owners that nearly always want their own manager, the best thing to do is start again from scratch and wipe everything out. So don't misquote why I said things. And in life, toaster people go with the what. The Football Terrace people go with the why. Why did I say what I said? What is the context behind it? So good attempt, Rumble, but no, I was never part of those in-out groups because they're all just wrong when it comes to Manchester United in a catastrophically bad way. They really are. Joshua Jack here says, I'd be real. Ruben should walk. The board knows our attack is arse. They have been wanting to get rid of Anthony and Rashford, been unhappy for a while, and have been auditing Garnacho. How is it supposed to work? Do you know what I would say to that? If you don't believe that there is a long-term plan that's going to work, Josh, then I think what you've said there holds water. I'm not going to challenge it. But if Amorim, or if you're a Man United fan that thinks, look, we know what we're doing, if he's aware it's going to be a quiet month, and come the summer it's going to improve, PSR, I'm just using an example, then no, don't walk. But if your thought is right and there is no plan and we're going to scrimp and scrape for the next 3 or 4 summers and Januaries and barely spend, then I think your opinion holds water, my friend. How is Amorim bringing in youngsters when he hasn't even figured out his system good? Recipe for disaster, and no United wants a relegation battle. I mean, it's about bodies, though, isn't it, as well? I mean, we have number 9s that play in our under 23s and in our under 18s. If we're struggling with strikers, I don't see the harm in giving one of them an opportunity. I'm not saying start them away at Anfield, right? But give them an opportunity to play in some games, I feel.
Isn't that also what United fans wanted, though? A manager to not make his system built around the team, but rather his system built around his ideas, and the club adapts to that.
Yeah. So it's what they asked for, but the problem is with Man United fans, they complain, they think it's FIFA. They think you can just change your formation and nothing changes, and the players in your squad can. We've all played FIFA. I can go from a 4-4-2 to a 3-5-1, and it doesn't really matter about the person. You've got a bit of pace in your team, you're all right. Man United fans have been acutely unaware of the deep-rooted problems at Man United for the last 11 years, which is why they've always just said, get rid of Pogba, we'll be better. Get rid of Martial, watch us improve. Sack Jose, we're in the title race. They haven't learned. And a lot of us in the early stages thought that. And then we should have all learned over the last 7 or 8 years. They don't. I want a set style, man. Yeah, you know it's going to take years to implement, right? And they're just not prepared to wait. They want the success today, and it's impossible.
Because like United, a section of United fans, when Ten Hag came in that first season, I know he doesn't well, but the whole thing was, yeah, but he's not playing the football we brought him in to play. He's not playing the Ajax football, and he never went to that because the players never suited that. And then you bring this manager in, and the whole notion was, right, okay, Amarim's going to come in, he's going to play his system, and now he's playing his system. Through thick and thin, he's playing his system to figure out which players work. And those same fans that were moaning about the fact that Ten Hag changed are moaning about the fact that Ruben Amorim isn't changing.
Yeah, because as I said, there's a combination here of toaster people. There's people doing it purely for engagement, and what works is being negative. There are others that just don't have the patience, mate. And the worst part about it is, if we do, let's sack him today. No one, go and get Conte. Go get Simeone. We're going to be in the same problems, whether it's 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months. And that's my issue with a lot of these Man United fans. It's just, you've got to learn what the deep-rooted problems are and understand how long it's going to take to fix. I'm just prepared to give somebody the time to build a squad. I'm just prepared to do it this time. We have to go in a different direction, because why repeat what's failed 6 times before? And when you ask these questions, you never get an answer. You just get them spin it or go silent. And that tells me that it may not be right in the long term, because none of us can tell the future. But it's definitely worth giving it a go, in my opinion. This here says, Dizzy George, how would you feel if Arsenal played not like us next time you are at the Emirates, like the Grammy or audience singing along to it?
Oh, I suppose he's referencing them playing humble Kendrick Lamar yesterday. I mean, yeah, man, enjoy your day, enjoy your win. Don't focus on us.
United need Klopp. It's not going to happen, though, my friend. It isn't going to happen in any capacity whatsoever. What he shook, he chose attacking Ange over 5-2-3. It's not 5-2-3 when we attack, though. That's also the thing where George is right, and I'm interested to see it. The attack should look different with real wing backs, because it means you add 2 more players. So you're right, it's 5-3-2 when we defend, but when we attack, it should be 3-2-5 is how it should be. To do the math right on that. Yeah. So that's what it should be.
You should be able to hold left hand width now, because everyone on your left hand side wants to come inside. You'll have somebody who wants to sit outside.
Absolutely. Obviously, yesterday, I want to get onto yesterday's game for a minute before we get some more of these super chats. Viewers, make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you're subscribing. Some more transfer talk coming up a little bit later on the show, because City, of course, have secured a CM, and we're going to touch on that at the end of this section. But there's a lot of things to talk about yesterday, footballing-wise. But I wanted to speak a little bit about the outrage that's been seen online today. Gabriel shouting at Haaland is seen as wrong by Gary Neville, even though he literally said when Haaland scored, if someone super chatted it, Neville, after Haaland scored, said he should go the other way towards Gabriel. In fact, he was advocating that Haaland should hurt him, put a tackle in on him, because the way he's wound him up all game. As we put up on the screen earlier, interestingly, Liverpool fans mishearing what songs were going on. Liverpool fans, as you can see here, fuming that a young player mocked the Haaland celebration. Rival fans, both from City and Liverpool, complaining about fans taking pictures in the crowd afterwards, complaining about the song being played at the end. It's just been a bit of a strange overreaction to Arsenal smashing Man City. Or are these call-outs towards Arsenal fair and correct?
They're absolutely ridiculous. First thing, you don't dictate how we celebrate. You have 90 minutes to dictate how we feel after the game, and if you can't do that, then you have no control how we celebrate. If we score a goal and we give it back to you after after equalizing, if we go back and we go score 2 quick goals, and our player who scores his first career goal does whatever he wants to do, especially after you gave him all the lip service, which was celebrated from everybody back in September when Erling Haaland picked up the ball and threw it in Gabriel's head, or he told Arteta to be humble. Everybody celebrated it, but you get it back. If you can give it, you got to be able to take it. And that's what it is right here. You don't like it because somebody's giving it back to you. For too long, Manchester City have been giving lip service to everybody and backing it up with their performances. This is the first time where we told you, wait until you come to our house. And you came to our house and you got ran out. And you couldn't even hold your own for more than 60 minutes. And this is why you're angry. And when it comes to the rivals, the Liverpool fans, they're threatened. Or it's the Liverpool City thing, the connection that they have with City. They don't like City being disrespected or something like that. And then when it comes to the other teams, Tottenham fans, other fans, since when is it that a team has to win the league in February to celebrate a win? A 5-1 win versus the champions of last season. You beat any former champion 5-1 in a season, best believe everyone's going to be celebrating.
This was a massive journalist that put this out, and this tweet has had over 1 million views, where he says all the Arsenal gloating and stay humble stuff works if you're 10 points clear or something, not if you're 6 behind, having played a game more and haven't won a title for 2 decades. Are we going, and that's a Liverpool journalist, by the way, so that isn't a City fan who's upset, but is that the direction we're going in football now, where you could only celebrate big wins if you're clear at the top or you've won the Premier League in recent years? Is that a fair bit of... You're a Liverpool fan. That's from a Liverpool journalist, Tom. It's your fans that are saying this. Like, why do you think so many Liverpool fans are pushing this narrative today?
I don't know. I don't get why that our fans would be threatened. The weekend's gone and nothing has changed in the league table. We are still 6 points ahead with a game in hand. We're still perfectly fine. We got through a game that we were apparently supposed to drop points in, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I think that the way football is going, because of social media and stuff, the reason why people are saying that, you can't do that stuff, all that's going to happen for Arsenal is if they don't win the league this season, everything that happened yesterday is going to be thrown in their face at the end of the season with it. The whole stay humble, this, that, and the other. You did all that and you didn't go and win the league anyway. People seem to forget. I hate the way football's going, that you can't enjoy anything now. You're not allowed to enjoy football. You've got to wait until 38 games being played, and then that what happens at the end, the league table, how many points you got, that dictates how much you can enjoy what you've done. You're not allowed to enjoy it in the moment. You're not allowed to enjoy it in the immediate aftermath. It's very much just a case of one number at the end of the season defines how much you can enjoy a season, how much you can enjoy your team. Arsenal have every right to celebrate like that. 100% they do. They've beaten Manchester City 5-1 at home. That's a result that, obviously City haven't been great this year, but still, it's a great result for them this season, especially after what happened early this season. The only thing is, rival fans want to be able, at the end of the season, to throw this all back in their face and go, you done all this, you over-celebrated, yada, 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 and you didn't win the league. In the same way that when Odegaard took the photo with the photographer last year, which was another situation where Arsenal celebrated and it got blew out of proportion, the moment you didn't win the league, that just got thrown back in your face. That's what the rival fans want. They want to be able to sit there at the end of the season and go, haha, you over-celebrated too early, you got too cocky, this, that, and the other.
I think it's even deeper than that. When you think about Arsenal and Manchester United, they're two clubs who people have been making jokes about over the last 5 to 6 years. And now that you see Arsenal separating themselves from the Tottenhams and these clubs that have been making fun of us for the last couple of years, and you see us higher up the table challenging for the league and getting and winning these type of games, beating Chelsea 6-0, winning this game versus City 5-1, having these performances away from home and getting convincing wins against you guys. It's almost like you need anything that you can hold on to try to criticize us, because you can't criticize our performances against you because we're beating them.
Did you know what? I think the only real response to all of that is, I got 5 on it. Can we play you every week? I got 5 on it. Kelly and Wanieri. Hey, that's all we need to say to them, because Terry asked a very important question at the start of this segment. He said, are we surprised at what's going on? No one is surprised there. It comes with the territory in it. Like for Liverpool fans, I'm surprised about that one in it to an extent. But the City fans, I'm not surprised. Like, Terry, if your boy came home and said some guys outside snatched my chain, would you not be upset? Like, Haaland got his chain snatched at the Emirates. Obviously, the City fans are going to be upset. The celebration, the shithousery, all of that. At the end of the day, we all play a game of football. Someone said in the comment section that when City were celebrating the draw, they were 10 points behind us or something like that. I don't know if that's factual, but they were definitely behind us. But they were celebrating the draw. No one was talking about it then. But if Arsenal celebrating a 5-1 win against the team that I think in the last 18 games we've only won one, other than last night, of course we're going to be excited. And I heard people saying that we're celebrating like we're top of the league or we've won the league. I promise you guys, if Arsenal win the league, you'll see that's what the celebration really looks like. That's nothing. That is nothing. And yes, as Tom was saying, football is becoming a scenario where you can't enjoy your club's wins. You have to wait end of the season, however it looks. If you don't win, just say better luck next time. No, for me, at the end of the day, everyone's a human being. You can enjoy your club however you want. I enjoy watching my club score goals and win matches. And every time those two things happen, I'm going to celebrate like crazy. And if people want to hate about that, so be it. We'll keep celebrating at the end of the day.
Do you know what I find interesting for me? It's the celebration police stuff, which I find
it's crazy.
Frustrating because it's such an important part of football. And if we suddenly remove celebrations, it kills football. How far do you take it? Do you get to a point where you don't celebrate goals? You know, there's a Liverpool fan in the comment section. I know he's a Liverpool fan. He's told me before. No, he might not be. No, he might have been. No, he's not a Liverpool fan. Sorry, but he says you can't banter us if you finish behind us. And a lot of Liverpool fans have been pushing this notion today, but Liverpool fans still speak about beating us 4-1 at Old Trafford in 2009, in a season where we completed a three-peat, right? And that's fair. They beat us 4-1. They bashed us that day, and they should hold on to that. All of you have games that you remember in seasons where you didn't win the league, that still, if you see it now, or it comes up in conversation, it gives you a warm feeling inside. This has been part of the culture, the most important culture in England. That's football culture for 140 years. People will say Terry's doing it to defend Arsenal. Again, that's a toaster person opinion. I'm doing it to defend football, because if the sort of celebration police get their way and no one celebrates these big wins, especially when it's a team, whether it's been a long-standing rival or it's a new rivalry with, especially in games like that, we start removing the celebrations, the goal celebrations, the needle between players, the needle between fans. It becomes problematic. Now, I get City fans being angry. They got beat yesterday. It's the Liverpool fans' reaction that I find strange beyond belief, because they've had massive results in recent years that I've seen them all go crazy and celebrate, and they didn't win the league. And it's the hypocrisy of it.
I think that's what it is, though, Terry. I think sometimes you have to realize, like, you know, when someone's projecting something, like they're projecting their own insecurities, isn't it, onto Arsenal fans. The fact that they've had these massive wins, when you've been there, you've been in that position before, so you're trying to tell them something from experience. Liverpool fans are at that point where they remember when they beat you 7-0, they remember when they done all these big wins, but it didn't lead to anything big for them at the end of the season. So now they're like projecting onto Arsenal fans. They're like, you're not allowed to celebrate the win. You got to win something first. It's because that's what happened to them.
It's crazy.
That's exactly what
I think you win anything in February.
I get why they do it, but it's something that everybody should be pushing. Like Tom has done it. Everybody's got to push back against it, because it's an important part of being a fan at the end of the day, especially if you're at the ground and at home. The amount of money we all spend to watch the damn thing, imagine not enjoying it. And this is why I say to fans that have that belief, it literally means you could be watching football and entertaining football, scoring goals, winning games. But because you don't win a trophy, you spend 50 games miserable.
No, but even that, Terry, when I started watching football, I was seeing parades for League Cups, Cup Winners' Cups, and no one is saying anything. They're enjoying it, embracing it. Now you're not even allowed to enjoy, like, man, you weren't even allowed to enjoy a trophy win. It might not be the biggest trophy. I hear that.
Oh, don't worry.
Like,
Me and George we beat Liverpool.
But then a few years ago, the thing is, people have always like bantered. But the banter's always been there. But the mainstream and normal people would play it down. So you'd always get a bit of response. Oh, why are you celebrating the Carabao Cup? It's crap. That's always existed in my life. But the majority, everybody else, the mainstream media, everyone go, shut up, you tits. Now you've got the mainstream media saying, no, they're pushing the narrative that celebrating these big wins is bad. Right. For me, that is a terrible way to educate the young fans. For me, it's wrong. It's crazy. And even these pundits that are doing it, I remember when you guys were players, you celebrated normal wins, everyday wins. But they're pushing this weird notion. Gav here in the comments says, celebrate those big wins and the season-defining ones. Absolutely. If Arsenal can, Nobbins is here with us now. If Arsenal can banter in a celebration, why can't people banter them back? But this isn't about banter. One of those tweets I put up there is now in an article from a prominent journalist with over 1 million people reading it. That ain't fucking banter. That is a genuine opinion. That isn't banter. Banter would be, there was a City fan on the watch longs like, get your medals out, Skelly. Show us what you won. That's a little bit of banter. That's him. That's funny. A professional journalist or an ex-player sitting on the biggest football TV show in the world saying celebrating a win is wrong, that isn't banter, Dan Carlito. That is not banter. That is ridiculous. And we should not be policing the celebrating of fans, especially the majority are working class people that spend thousands of pounds supporting their football club. To tell them not to have a little bit of fun after a big win, I think it's sacrilegious and an abomination to the sport that we love. I really
the negativity in the world. You have one vice, football, maybe, and people are trying to take that joy from you. It's crazy.
And it's also funny coming from Liverpool fans who celebrated a draw versus West Bromwich Albion, as you said earlier.
Yeah, and they were right to on that day. There was a reason. There was something growing, and I get it. Lewis here says, is it really a big result, though? What do you think, Henry? Was yesterday a big result, or because City have been trash and getting slapped every week, should Arsenal not be happy with what they did yesterday? According to Lewis, who's a Liverpool fan, it's a nothing result.
Yeah, of course it's a big result. Every single game now between whoever Arsenal play and whoever Liverpool play, every single win's a big result, especially up against, it's still Manchester City, but I see a lot of people have compared it to when Tottenham have beaten them 4-0. Now, there's almost not an acceptance, but an expectation that Tottenham will turn up and either beat City or give City a very good game. I don't think anyone really expected Arsenal to go out there and score 5 yesterday. Like that is, for anyone to think that, it's just, it's a bold prediction. But what I was saying to Liverpool fans, I have never seen, I can understand the City fans saying, oh, you've won nothing, etc., etc. But Liverpool fans, like, it was a perfect weekend for you. You won. You got a clean sheet. Nothing's changed. Why do you care? But it's just everyone's rattled. But like for Liverpool fans to come out and say it's an irrelevant win against the poor Manchester City side, it's still Man City. But they have definitely lost that fear factor now. Every single one's going to be looking at City now, thinking they're not the same man.
Man City and everyone eats team except for Chelsea. Every single top 6 team has beaten Man City this season except for Chelsea.
Even my shit. Even my shit club.
You've done that at the Etihad as well.
I know. Perspective, knowing the fact that City have, they've beaten you to the league title the last 2 years, it just gives that a little bit. It means a lot more to them now they've got past that, especially with the week they've got coming up, knowing that they are 2-0 down in the cup. Like that's a huge morale booster. And like the shithousery from Lewis Skelly doing that the celebration that Haaland does, Jamie Vardy does that on a regular basis, and no one says anything. Scoring against Crystal Palace away, doing the Brighton Bird or whatever it was, Brighton away doing the Crystal Palace Eagle. Like no one says anything, but because it's an Arsenal player, everyone, like the kid's 18. He's just had the game of his life. Like let him calm down and enjoy his moment. But I also understand people saying, but you haven't won anything because
but it's one of them ones where it's not like he just said, Haaland, I'm just gonna pick your celebration and do some shit. It's like there's a backstory. You tried to little boy me, calling me who the F are you, and I showed you who the F I was, and I dunked
Did you even see Haaland's dad got involved? Haaland's dad got involved on Twitter.
Is it real?
Yeah.
Oh, you got daddy to fight your battle.
You called daddy. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, there was a player. I want to say it was a Brighton player. But a player was booked No, a player was booked against Brighton because he did the seagull impression.
Yeah.
And everybody said, what a ridiculous yellow card. It was a bit of fun. Lewis Skelly does it. And I think there's a debate in the Houses of Parliament tomorrow as to whether or not he should be arrested. Like the difference in reaction is crazy. And what I find interesting is that all the people that say that Arsenal are not a threat, they're not a big team, and they're not scary, I don't get the reaction. That's why I always find it funny that Arsenal gets such a viral reaction from rival fans who say they don't think about them and they're irrelevant. If they really were, your knickers wouldn't be in a twist, would they? Or maybe I'm wrong. Let us know. There's a few more comments here. First one says, celebrate when you win games, but over-celebrate is what we are talking about. If it's okay, why did Arteta himself talk about it? Just don't overdo it. What was over-celebrating, though, yesterday? What was the over-celebrating, in your opinion?
What does that look like? What does over-celebrating look like? And then can you send a video of what celebrating at the right level looks like as well, just so we know for future matches? That'd be great.
Because we've seen it before in the Prem. Like, listen, Klopp was a character. When you score that winning goal in the Merseyside derby, by the way, you always win the Merseyside derby at Anfield, and you run onto the pitch and celebrate with the goalkeeper. Certain pundits were like, that's why we love Klopp. But we all know that if Amorim did that, certainly if Arteta did it, it will be met with a very different reaction from the same people. So what is the over-celebrating look like? And is that universally applied? It would be my question to that super chat.
Did he get a yellow card?
We get videos of them. Videos is important.
No, you actually should get, I believe the rules state you should be given a suspension for entering the field of play like that. Managers are not allowed on the pitch. So it's like a suspension level rule break, I believe.
He got away with one.
Yeah, I mean, again, by the way, he shouldn't be getting suspended for that. He shouldn't be. Like, it's ridiculous. You should not be.
I think he apologized after the game, and that was it.
Yeah, and that's fair. But it's you know, the way I'm talking about the media reaction. Arsenal scored 5 goals on 1xG with 0.7 of it from the Kai Havertz miss. That match was more City being horrible than Arsenal playing well. Arsenal has the right to celebrate, however. Do you agree with that? I'm going to throw that to nice dog, by the way, James. I'm going to throw that to Nobbin. Do you agree that yesterday was more about City being bad than Arsenal being 5 goals good?
Well, there was a combination of the two, to be fair. You know, Arsenal were very good. I expected them to be very good. I predicted a comfortable Arsenal win. I didn't expect it to be 5 goals, in fairness, but I think I predicted 2-0. But I did predict a comfortable Arsenal win. I was surprised it took until around the 60th, 70th minutes for the true dominance to transpire. I thought in the first half, for example, I actually thought City were quite... they were all right, to be fair with you. But both things can be true. Of course, Arsenal can celebrate however they want. I think the celebration police are weird. And yeah, I think it's, but both things are true. It is also true, as Tom said, that everyone eats when it's City. Essentially, you know, we've seen Feyenoord capitulations, PSG capitulation, Brentford capitulation, Man United capitulation. So it's not an uncommon theme this season. And to be honest, I don't expect it to be the last either. We have signed a midfielder today who will help a lot. But it wouldn't surprise me if when Liverpool come to the Etihad, I suspect it'll be a similar lashing by another opponent, to be honest with you, because that's just... No, I'm sure you do. That's the reality of City this season, and it's something that I accepted many months ago. I think that nearly every single City fan has accepted that now. If they haven't, then I don't know. You know, it's not the treble winning gear anymore. We need to reel in expectations. Yeah, Arsenal were fantastically clinical, and they deserve to beat us and beat us comfortably, 100%. They were very good. Again, City were bad, but only like the last sort of 30 minutes, I think City were truly bad. I feel like City did quite well up until that point, and I think Arsenal maybe just sort of like switched it on a little bit, maybe. I don't know if that's fair to say. But out of possession, they were wonderful. Sorry.
Which players do you hold accountable for that result?
Well, again, I already predicted a loss. So it's not really about holding players accountable, because I predicted a comfortable loss beforehand. Again,
I don't know, but you don't want to be doing that because you'll be twerking for Arsenal, mate. So just You know, just calm it down with the Arsenal praise.
So again, this isn't. It's not about this player should have done better. Like, yeah, Akanji should do better. Foden shouldn't play that pass. John Stones should be defending Skelly better. I even think for the first goal, Stones shouldn't be playing Akanji into that danger. Like Stones knows that.
Crazy, yeah.
The pass itself actually isn't technically bad, but you look who you're playing
the
it
pressure
to.
he was on.
Can I ask though?
Hello, George.
Finish. Go on.
No, that's fine. Hello.
Oh yes, I was just gonna say, how you doing, man? Hey, look, it seems like he's got his back up already. Like I was gonna go mad now.
He's ready. He's ready today.
No, because what I'm hearing is like you've obviously saying mistakes and individuals, and you're pointing out a lot of players. But one thing that's been consistent is the defensive issues across the board for you guys, probably mostly this season.
That's exactly right. Yes, and sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, would you not question the coaching and I suppose the managers for not addressing that? Because it's the basics that are going wrong. It is the very basics every single time.
So I think that so you're absolutely right. I have outlined a lot of individual mistakes there. However, the majority of individual mistakes are due to a systemic issue. So, for example, it didn't actually result in a goal, but I thought maybe the most egregious error in the entire game was probably, I don't know what you guys thought, I thought it was probably the Ortega pass. So Kovacic didn't get punished, but a reason for that was in part because Ortega's not as good at passing the ball as Ederson, but also, again, I'm not trying to blame Kovacic at all, but I know if that's Rodri receiving that, for example, then I know that he can somehow turn that hospital pass into a decent situation. When you don't have the midfielders able to receive the ball under pressure, again, it's not about these players. It's not about having to go at these players. It's not Kovacic's fault. It's not Bernardo's fault. It's not Akanji's fault. This is just a situation that they are in. When you have players who can't receive the ball like that, and you don't have the midfielders who can deal with the best out of possession midfield in the world, probably, Declan Rice in there, for example, you've lost. The battle is lost before it's even started. So all these individual errors, or at least the vast majority of them, can be put down to by virtue of the systemic problems which have plagued City all season, and I would even say all of last season as well. This has been an issue 2 years in the making, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the defenders, because do you think potentially having someone like Rodri, as you say, that's so good that even if he's given a hospital pass, put under pressure, he can kind of get you out of that situation? There's always been a lot of praise for your defenders, though, I would say, and I'm talking media praise. Kanji, what a buy. Ake, what a buy. Akanji was sort of, when you bought him, there was a lot of question marks. I remember when you got him, there was always a bit of a third or fourth choice defender at Dortmund. And I remember his first few years at your club, he was raved about. John Stones, more injuries. Diaz put up there with Van Dijk level. And it seems to be, no matter in the last, since sort of this bad form started, especially the last 4 or 5 months, doesn't really seem to matter which combination of them play. Mistakes on the ball, poor positioning, terrible line, easy to play through. And I understand Rodri being missing plays a part, and I understand the midfield not having legs plays a part. But is there potentially a sort of something that's been raised here that maybe the defenders, by and large, were overrated in the first place? They weren't as good as maybe the system allowed them to look.
I don't know if I agree, because I think that any defense would struggle without correct protection in the first instance. I think even like a Van Dijk-Konate partnership would struggle if they didn't have a good setup around them. So there is that point. I do also think that partnerships. What am I trying to say here? Partnerships are what make centre backs, if that makes any sense. Akanji and Stones, for example, do not complement each other. Diaz and Stones do complement each other very well. Diaz is a very a defending defender, if that makes sense. He's very direct, active. He wants to, quote, get stuck in, whatever the term is. John Stones, very passive, for example. There's nothing wrong with that. You want a nice combination. Like Ferdinand and Vidic, there's a reason why they were such a wonderful combination, that they complemented each other really nicely. I don't have the exact data in front of me, but I think like the numbers when we have Diaz in the side compared to when we don't is pretty staggering. none of our other centre backs are aggressive enough or have the leadership skills or are active enough in terms of snuffing out danger before it even happens.
Nobbins, do you think it's with those things that you say in terms of the partnerships in particular? Do you think it's not down to the manager to maybe ask something different of the centre backs if is forced to use those different partnerships?
Sorry.
Do you think it's down to the manager to basically maybe ask those centre backs to do something a little bit different because they don't complement each other that well? Are you blaming Pep for that, or do you think he should just play the same way he always does?
I think it's hard to ask. Let's take John Stones for example. He's not a young player. He's like 30 maybe. I think it's very hard to ask him to play differently to how he's played the entirety of his career. Like this is because it also comes down to instinct as well. Like Diaz has just got it in his natural instinct to know I need to get onto that player now because I've been in this situation thousands of times. I know the danger is there. I need to get on the man immediately. Akanji has never played like that. For example, I know we're talking about Stones, but Akanji's likewise. So you might think, well, why isn't Akanji just on him like quicker? It's not. For me, I don't think it's easy to unlearn that sort of behaviour like partway through a season. I don't know. I think that's maybe why the Kusanov signing is pretty important because he's like that. He's that sort of player.
Let me
hold on. Just about that point, would you say it's really more unlearn the behavior or adapting your game to the situation? I don't think it's really unlearn the behavior because there's someone like Stones who we've kind of praised for the different positions he can play in and his different qualities he has. Even at 30, surely with the experience he has, maybe you can adapt your game knowing that what you're used to having in the side is not available.
Kunle, can I ask you a quick question on that, Kunle, first before you go, Nobbins? Is that not, and I'm defending City here a little bit, is that not just systematic with how most modern day players are? There's less adaptability in football players in 2025 compared to 1995. As an example, we get a lot of players get stick for it, like system players, but I feel like from academy level right up to the first teams now, most clubs operate with a strict system and a set way of playing. Is it just not that most players have those limitations? And when you change it, so when Maguire leaves a club where they play a low block with three at the back into a back four of a high line, suddenly he looks like a trash player that everyone's been raving about for. It's not defending him, but you put him in a completely unnatural environment, and he's just never been trained to play that way.
No, you have a very good point, and majority of the players now, I agree with that. But there's certain players that are like can play across multiple different positions, and I believe that type of player is more adaptable to different scenarios than a player that's been trained in one position and drilled. Do you get what I mean? Like someone like Stones is someone we've talked about. Akanji, not so much, but Stones is someone that we've talked about can fill in multiple different positions. So I thought there'd be like an adaptability aspect of his game where he can switch it up in different situations. No?
You know something? The defenders made a lot of mistakes, but I feel like there's another elephant in the room that we need to speak about also.
Can I just respond to Kunle?
Yeah, let me.
Please?
Yeah. Sorry. I jumped in first. My apologies.
No, that's fine. Maybe you're right, Kunle. I do feel like another element of it is like fundamentally, Stones has never been the best box defender. You know what I mean? Like he's never, and that's not a slide. That's not me having a go, but that's not been his.
That's a fair point.
That's not been his
strength, his key attribute.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's bad at it, but it's like Stones, even like Gavardio. Again, I'm not saying that these are bad players, but that is Ruben Diaz's bread and butter.
Yeah.
Like he will get his
basically.
Yeah, he will get his body on the line. He will tackle. He will clear it. That is just his game. That is his bread and butter. That's just his style as a centre back. Stones has again never really been like that. So, and I think that when you've got in fact, when you've got the entire back four who are not great box defenders, because Núñez is not a great box defender. Neither is Akanji. Neither is Stones. And neither is Joško. Even though I rate him highly as a defender, box defending is a very specific element of that. I think we've got all four of them coupled with all the lack of protection that we've discussed. I think that you are in an almost a borderline impossible situation. Certainly one that, in my view, that can't be coached to success.
No, I hear you. I think that's why you've gone out this Jan. I wanted to ask you another new signing today, Nobbins, in Nico González will come in, 60 million euro central midfield player. I don't know much about him. What's his profile and where do you think he'll fit in your system? And will he be that player that can give you that protection, do you think?
Yeah, so this is a very exciting signing. He is an 8-6 hybrid, which is exactly what City needs. The reason why City need that sort of player is because if we sign a pure 6, pure defensive midfielder, then where does he play when Rodri comes back into the side? Answer, he doesn't. So it's got to be a player who can work in the short term and long term. I'm going to compare him to Rice, but I'm by no means saying that he's anywhere near as good as him off ball. I'm just saying that he shares similar attributes in terms of his off ball work. He also shares similar attributes to Rodri in terms of his ability to receive the ball under pressure and turn with it. And he's got the physicality because he's 6'2", I believe. He's very strong and tall in that sense. So he immediately comes in, immediately improves City's midfield. It would have been lovely to have had him yesterday, of course. And I think that he will work really nicely and partner Rodri well. I do think that he complements Rodri. I do think that, lots of people are saying he's slow. Don't know where that's come from. He's actually quite good in terms of covering distance. He and Rodri would be a really nice partnership. We will need at least one more midfielder to come in because I expect maybe two of Núñez, Kovacic, Gundogan to leave. But I'm very happy with the signing. He's only 23. Obviously, he's got a La Masia background, and
sorry to cut you off.
It's a very good signing.
Do you think he'll go straight into the 11?
He's got to 100%. Yeah. No disrespect to Kovacic, and again, it's not about fault. He's doing the best he can do, but he's not. He's not.
Do you think you'll go Kovacic and González with someone in front of them?
I think that would make the most sense. Yes, I think that you'd be looking at a 3-2 where you have the three centre backs. This is in possession, and then the two ahead. I'd like to see Nico and Kova. I think that would make the most sense. You could also just have Nico on his own, but that wouldn't be optimal. I think that because neither of them are Rodri. So if you have both of them, maybe they can help cover for one another. And then that would be a nice bridge between I don't know if we've spoken about what were the issues in the game yet, because I obviously joined late. But one of the biggest issues for City this season, and indeed in that game, was there is no bridge connecting the defending five to the attacking five. It's not Kovacic's fault. It's not Bernardo's fault, but they can't do it. Nico, I think, can do it in my view.
Can he play in the Champions League, even though he's already played in the Europa?
Yes.
And we can also register our new signings as well, so we can register Kusanov and Marmoush as well.
You're going to need him against Real Madrid.
You can only register 3 though, can't you? We signed 4, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, yeah. Listen, I don't know much about him, but he reads like a very good player, and it's certainly out of all the signings, the one probably most needed. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits into that City side.
Terry, I'm gonna have to go, but I just want to say this. Bro. Phil put, for God's sakes. I'm sorry, bro.
Take care, my man. See you later, bro. Go on,
City's right back situation. Matheus Núñez obviously played their last couple of games. Doesn't look like you're going to get anyone in to play that position for the rest of the season. Arsenal, even despite not having, I know it's, he played on the other side, but despite not having Saka, that they still seem to really target both sets of fullbacks. I can only imagine teams are going to look at Matheus Núñez as the weak point in that City team now that you add a midfielder in there. What is going to happen with that right back spot? Is Stones going to have to play out there like he did at the back end of the treble year, but then can you rely on his fitness? I just think, I don't know why you've let it get to that spot with the right back.
Yeah, I think, again, I'm not privy to discussions, but I believe City were interested in Cambiaso, the Juventus fullback. He would have been lovely. It looks like that's not happening. I think that's going to be more of a summer move. Yeah, Núñez, again, he's doing a job. It's not his fault that he doesn't know how to be a right back because he's not a right back. So I'm not going to have a go at him for diving in on Trossard and making a mess of it. I think that I've just touched on Akanji. and it was Akanji who played at right back in the latter stages of the treble-winning year. I think that is where his place is in the City side. I don't think he's good enough to play as a centre-back in a defence which is deficient. If you put him at right back, he's got less of a defensive burden there. He can use the touchline as another player. So I would, in an ideal world, our back four would be Akanji, Diaz, Gvardiol as the left back, and then someone else as that other centre back. Sadly, we've only seen our first choice back four once this whole season, and that was against Forest, and they didn't even last the whole game. Half of them got injured in that game as well. So I'd like to think that the worst is behind us, but we shall see.
We're going to come back to more of this in a moment. We've got some super chats to jump into as well. Before, a lot of people saying they weren't maybe expecting Arsenal to get a big win. Not everybody said that before the game.
Race anymore, but regardless, Sunday is the day. It must go down on that day. I'm not looking for anything. Look, I'm not looking for anything but a flogging. Everybody are flogging Manchester City all season. It's our turn. And we're going to show that Haaland boy who's going to stay humble that day. I'm telling you, this is our day.
There with Nigel. I watched that earlier, and it's only that time watching it I realised you were sitting next to Nigel Winterburn. I was like, "Oh, that's Nigel Winterburn sitting there." Yeah, no, you did. You expected. You wanted a flogging. You got what you wanted. You got what you wanted. And by the way, congrats. Whatever you were doing, well done, mate. Big show.
Appreciate that. I saw it coming because, first of all, like I said, everybody has been giving City water all season, so they've been getting flogged. So as I said, it was our turn, and as soon as I saw the lineup, I was even more confident because that midfield, boy, if Rice, Partey, and Odegaard couldn't handle that midfield, I'd have gone to Arteta's house last night and got rid of him because that was crazy. How you bring into the Emirates Silva, Foden, and who was it? Kovacic. Oh, that was ugly, man. Yeah. But with that being said, 1-1 at the Emirates. If they held it for like 5-6 minutes, it could have been a little bit shaky because I was a bit worried, but when PFA Player of the Year Phil Foden handed us a great assist, we had to pounce and take it on.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask you. Gal actually said, because he had to shoot, but he said, "I'm so mad I didn't get to speak about Phil Foden." He's getting a lot of stick online, not so much from the mainstream media, but a lot of stick online for another poor performance. He's been on a decent run of form recently, but Jules, what did you make of Phil Foden yesterday? Was it a game where maybe he should get a little bit more criticism in your view?
I don't know, man. I feel like with this Phil Foden stuff, I think people obviously every game week, they're going to look at every game week. They're going to look at Phil Foden. They're going to look at the biggest players and say, they're not turning up. Similar to Cole Palmer. It's like he's not turning up. He's not turning up. But I feel like Nobbins is pointing out, there's so many issues at City. You can't really just pinpoint it on one, especially one young player. I know he got player of the season last year, and that put a massive target on his back. But for me, I didn't look at Phil Foden and be like, yeah, this was the man where it's all gone wrong. And I was looking at the rest of the City players. I was looking at the likes of Haaland. Like, where's Haaland yesterday? Haaland's not really forcing himself into these games.
He scored, no?
He scored, but he's just not doing enough, I think. In a lot of these games where City haven't been great and City haven't been themselves, I look at Haaland, I look at the goal scorer and say, bro, like, we need to see a little bit more from you. Obviously, he doesn't always get the chances created, and that's where, again, it's a system issue. But I don't know, man. It's hard. So many things went wrong defensively yesterday that it was hard to look at Phil Foden.
I hear you, Jules, and you're right. There's loads of stuff going on in Man City, but why are we never allowed to talk about Phil? Even if he's the 7th issue, the 6th issue, the reality is it was 1-1, and Phil Foden had the ball. And if they sit tight for 5-10 minutes, you know what football's like. You never know why. We're rattled. We're rattled.
Do you know why he won't ever get as much heat? Because he's got an enormous amount of credit in the bank. That's it. That is the only reason. Last year, the season of his life, KDB's absence, he steps up. This season, it doesn't matter if he stinks it out for the entire season. There's credit in the bank. And that's it. But I actually think he should be getting even more criticism. You've won the Player of the Year award. You stunk it out of the Euros. I think I don't really hear a lot of City fans. I don't know what Nobbins thinks, but if I were a City fan, I'd be getting on to him right now.
We're not allowed to talk about Port.
No, see, but I agree with that. I understand it. There's criticism and then there's getting on to him, because I know that we live in a world now where we think, I'm getting back to Man United, and I don't want to because it makes me sad. But it's like, if I show I'm angry all the time, if I have high standards, my team will be better. I said this to my mate. He's a very good friend of mine. He's very angry. He has very high standards. He loves all that standard stuff. Yeah, I'm like, brother, you've been angry and had standards. He goes to every game, home and away, Man United. Said, you've been having those standards for all this time. Yeah. Said, how comes we're not good then? Like, there's times where I think what you actually have to do is control the narrative against your players and protect them. Because rivals are gunning for Foden. I get it. Some of the media are. But if City fans go for him as well, I understand the notion of, if we're harsh, he'll get better. What if being harsh on Phil Foden makes him worse? Sir Alex Ferguson is praised. By the way, it shouldn't stop rivals from doing it. So that's clear. Sir Alex Ferguson was famed for, I've got to tell Nanny off, but he can't handle being shouted at. I'm going to shout at Rooney because Rooney can take it. Nanny will hear the message, won't take it personally, and he'll perform. It's about knowing your players. So as fans, as management, you've got to know which ones you can scream in their face, which ones you can call shit, and which ones I think you've got to be nicer to. And I don't know enough about Phil Foden. City fans will be closer to it, but I think City fans are just protecting a player that they know will get back to his absolute best at some point, and maybe going in too hard on him could absolutely ruin him. So rivals do your worst, I get it. But from a City's perspective, I get why their own fans aren't turning on him. I really do. Because I also think Phil Foden is the least of their worries. I'm speaking for you here, Nobbins, but I feel like he's the least of your worries, really.
I hear it.
So, sorry, was there a question there? I apologize.
No, you weren't listening to me.
Yeah, when Phil Foden gets brought up, he switches off. I hear it, bro. But yeah, Foden is is the least of their issues. But doesn't mean that we should never talk about his issues. That's all I'm saying.
Look, his performances, absolutely. But I think there's a difference, right? I've criticised loads of his performances this year, but we had Mo and Hassam on Straight Facts earlier on this season saying that his first 3 months of the season undo the last 5 years of work he's done. I'm not about... No, exactly. But that's what I mean when it becomes an agenda. People start criticising his performance. You go, yeah, I agree. That was bad today. And this is why I've always said it was crap. Whoa, too far. I just can't entertain that kind of conversation. It's mad.
People think I have an agenda against Foden, but I literally did a, start, bench, sell, and I picked Foden to start, bench, Saka, and sell Palmer. So I ain't got no agenda. I think he's a quality player, but he's not at the level.
Have a Palmer agenda.
If you want to call it that, you can call it that, man.
Yeah, he was poor yesterday, though. I mean, he was poor. He was very, very poor yesterday. But then most of City were. They had a lot of most of City. Núñez was poor. Haaland, look, he scored his goal outside of that. The man got bullied, and we all know how good he is as an example. Yeah. That's why I find it hard to just focus on Foden. I thought the whole KDB come on. Top 2, top 3 central midfielders in Premier League history. He could have been Luke Chadwick yesterday. He could have been Jack Grealish yesterday. He was that poor. Do you know what I mean? When he came on, no impact whatsoever. The whole City team yesterday was ripped to shreds by Arsenal. But I get why people have that feeling. A few super chats here I want to do. Some relate to Arsenal. True Gooner TV. Brandon says this club has got away with it again. It's almost like beating a poor City side has made the fan base forget that we still need to buy players, apply the pressure. Oh, no, wait. We're too busy tweeting, be humble, Haaland. Kundle, do you agree with this? Do you feel like the win yesterday has taken the focus off of the owners and the manager for not buying a striker this window?
Not at all, but I'd already made peace with us not signing anyone like 10 days ago. So I'm not in the same space of checking, refreshing and all that stuff. I know my club. I know what we're about. As soon as we announced Zubimendi, I knew madness is happening at this club. It was just to pacify us, give us something to get excited about and focus on next season. That's the reality. But again, I will say this now. Arteta, I'm still on your neck, my brother. Whether you sign or you do not sign anybody this window, you must win this league.
And if he doesn't,
what if he doesn't? The Champions League. We know how that goes.
Champions League. Champions League's not.
It was an ad lib, Tom. It was an ad lib. You know.
What about what if he doesn't win the league?
Well, we should be looking for
someone
else.
If he wins the League Cup,
we should be looking for someone else. Great way to sign out.
I respect it.
Like if he gets us to the Champions League final and we lose 1-0 in the last minute, I'll listen to what his explanation is. But even with that, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Oh, so if it's 2-0, you're not even giving him the post-match interview.
Nah, I don't want to hear it. Yeah, he's got to leave then. He's got to leave the dugout straight.
Yeah, 1-0. the shot was going wide, it hit someone's bum and went in. I'll let him do the interview type thing. Yeah. I hear you. But Kundle's always been very fair with that. It's sort of he's a positive Arsenal fan. He's behind the team, but still he's judging Arteta on winning trophies now, and I think that's the right way to do it. And I get where Brandon's coming from. I think this January window for Man United, I mean, there's reports coming out now that we didn't get Tell because we didn't want to pay a £5 million loan fee. I want to move on. Chelsea.
Is that what we've paid? 5 million?
We don't know. We don't know. Again, I mean, this is the irony in it, though. If he ends up flopping at Tottenham, then we'll be right. That's why I'm not going to lose my head. That's why I'm not losing my head. But Chelsea have had a bad January, I think. And Arsenal, I think, have had a bad January. All of our clubs needed reinforcements. I'm not suggesting go out and do what City did. City have got the money. They've sold a lot of players in the recent years. They had that. I didn't think any of us could go and sign 5 players. But to do nothing's crazy. I mean, look, Liverpool did you bring anyone in?
No, but I don't think.
No, and I think because you're top of the league and you're doing well, no one's really focused on it. But I actually think most of the clubs needed to bring people in, and have had poor Januaries. And I think I understand why Arsenal fans would be frustrated with that. I absolutely do. Funny how Neville with no shame said Haaland bouncing the ball off Gabriel's head was funny, but bantering Haaland was disrespectful and made him feel uneasy. What a prick. Big up the panel.
Weird.
Gary, it is weird, isn't it? It is weird, this kind of what Gary Neville said yesterday. I love Gary Neville. He's a legend of my club. But he was talking about, I wouldn't be surprised if Haaland went and absolutely done Gabriel. I'm sitting there. It sounded like he was asking him to. It was weird.
Literally, but he needs to go and find Gabriel now. It was crazy. And wasn't Neville the same guy that at the end of you lot beating Liverpool, he ran to the fans at the end and started pumping his fist?
That was 2006. Rio Ferdinand header. I was there at that game. I was living in Manchester. I remember it like it's yesterday, and we loved it. He also against City, 4-3 Derby, Michael Owen. He ran down to the City fans that day as well, and he got in trouble because he couldn't say he was warming up because we'd used all of our subs, right, as an example. So he's done loads of stuff like that to fans and with players, and that's part of why I love Gary Neville. I didn't get why he was playing it. It was great that year. I know City fans wouldn't have enjoyed it, but for me watching, I was like, some fucking needle. Yes, it was great. It was great. But he said nothing about Bernardo Silva kicking Trossard or trying to stamp on the back of Waneri. He made a bit of a noise. He did the sort of Gary Neville. Oh, that's all he said. It was very, very, very weird yesterday, Gary Neville. Neville, after Haaland scored, he should be going the other way towards Gabriel. So he was fine with it when it was Haaland doing it. Football is back. I agree. Chombe here is a Liverpool fan, says big up to all of you, and I can't wait for May 10th. The best guard of honor ever is what Chombe says here. But they're not rivals, Chombe, no? Not rivals, no? Okay. It's just what I'm saying. You can't have both ways. It's like we actually had a few people, Liverpool fans, actually say about the rivalry. I'm trying to find the comment here from Sean. What have I done with it? Sorry, Sean. It might have been unstarred by mistake. I'm sorry if it was. Oh, it's just here, like Igao and many were rattled with Bournemouth. Yeah, because Igao and most Arsenal fans see you as a rival. They're admitting that there's a rivalry. They're admitting that you're an important, dangerous club. That's why they're rattled. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just admit it. That's the weirdest. It's like every day there's a City fan I follow online. Nice lad, Ryan. Tweets almost every day about Man United being irrelevant.
He's tweeting about them though.
Every day, but they're irrelevant. It's like I don't even comment. I just go, well, clearly not, because you're talking about us. Do you know what I mean? It's just great. It's absolutely great. Tom looks like a malnourished Sam Winchester today. Who's Sam Winchester?
No
Don't have a
idea.
Scooby, mate.
Sam Winchester, fictional character.
It's a new one to add to the list, though.
Oh, is that from remember Supernatural? It's called Supernatural. Tom is nowhere near as good looking as that guy. If that guy was malnourished for 6 years, Tom wouldn't be as good looking as him. Jeez. Liverpool fans like myself are reacting this way because the Arsenal fans like Igao, who do trigger us and are now spamming stay humble. But it's not spammed at you, Carl. That's what
I rate that he said triggers us. I rate that you've admitted that he triggers you. I rate that. I'll give you that.
Why are we getting triggered by that? It's not relevant
Nothing
to us.
to do with you.
Just want to join the party
because you see us as a threat Tom. That's why.
I'm not threatened.
Obviously,
by
not maybe not you, but someone that comments like this clearly is threatened by us.
But I don't see why. Where's this money come from?
Tom, me and you are in the same boat. When it was between you and City winning, last couple of years when City were going to do a 3-peat and a treble and then a 4-peat, and I'm like, I prefer Arsenal to win it with who's in the race. Man United fans, no, how can you want Arsenal to do it, man? It'll be unbearable online. It's not as unbearable as a 4-peat or City doing a treble. I've never understood the logic of, because a gal's going to be happy, I'd rather it's mad. It's actually mad, Carl. But look, I respect you admitting it, my bro. At least you've admitted that you're bothered by him. Terry, we are left with just 4 attackers at United. I know, mate. And Mainu's now false 9, so 5 really. 5.
To be fair, and one of them is Højlund. So does he really count as an attacker?
All right, curtains, fuck off. You've had enough to say now. Neville ain't stupid. It's all for engagement. Potentially. Liverpool winning number 20. Pep signing a 10-year contract. Lost Marcus Ballon d'Or Rashford to Villa. Lost a transfer to Tottenham. Did Pep sign a new 10-year contract?
No, he signed a 2-year contract.
2-year. Okay, cool. Just checking. Lost to Crystal Palace at home. What the fuck? Yeah, look, Liverpool winning the trophy is terrible. Pep's only here 2 more years, which ain't bad.
Haaland signed a 10-year. I don't know if that's what he's referring to.
Oh, yeah, you think he means? Yeah, it must mean him.
That's not really a problem the way he's playing at the minute.
Le Rogue Blues. What does that actually mean in French?
The Rogue Blues.
The Red and
Rogue
Blue,
Blues.
I don't know.
I think it's the Red and Blue.
I'm gonna type it out because I don't speak French. I should consider it.
Je ne comprends pas.
The Rogue.
Mon poulet est prêt.
I would love to know what it means because he comments a lot on the videos. Was it? I don't know. Just Google it. Google it, and a block of cheese came up. It can't be that. Must have something to do with Paris Saint-Germain. The red. It means the red and blue. It means the red and blue. There we go.
Who's talking French again then?
Finally.
It says, I'm on Arsenal's side on this. It's totally fine to celebrate that extra when a trophyless small club is winning against a big club.
You know what's funny about this as well, Terry? Yeah, I remember when I was playing at with academies and stuff like that. And the one thing they did, and one thing the coaches wanted you to do, was
why did you look away from the camera when you said that part?
No, because bro, I'm talking. I'm itching.
He's modest. He's modest.
Okay, I get it.
Shall I do the
back to it, one of the things the coaches would tell you is that
it's humble.
Is that they want you to go over extra in the celebrations. They want you to put it in the opponent's face when you score, when you have a bigger moment, because it's that little bit of mental that people seem to forget. It's part of the football game.
Which George, I think this is the thing as well. A lot of people it's why the pros doing it annoys me, because they understand that. A lot of the people that don't get it have never played sport at a decent level, so they don't a good friend of mine, Michael Page, is an MMA fighter. He is maybe the most humble and loveliest person you could ever meet. But get him in a ring, the way he moves and the way he dances, people think he's arrogant. But it's about getting in and he did it on Saturday. The way he moves, he makes his opponents start doing weird things as well, and they open up and they start shouting. It's like, well, you ain't concentrating on fighting because you're focusing on what he's doing. It's all about getting in their heads. And again, only people that have never played sport at a decent level wouldn't get that. We are so deliriously happy because all of those years, Arsenal used to get thrashed by them. Now we thrash them 5-1. Well, you heard Troop say it in his watch on. I think he was saying, I got my dream. I got my 5. And it's also fair. I'm not going to lie. There is a part of me that would like to beat Liverpool 7-0. Just to say we got one back. Of course there is. Of course that exists. I love how Terry pushed Liverpool and Arsenal fans between. I don't know what you mean. I'd love to know what you mean by that football knowledge. I'd love the knowledge on that. People clowned Arsenal for being Man City's feeder club in the past. We've been their punching bag for a decade. I say we have every right to enjoy this. I think everyone would agree. Win a trophy and you can banter everyone. Win a big game or a rival can banter them. I'll celebrate a deflected goal. Keep hating, but hold the L is what Dyer says here. Bro, it's weird. Someone else in the comments. I didn't pin it. They said, like, Terry, would you celebrate beating an inferior team? The season after, when the Aguero goal happened, Southampton fans celebrated. ever since then, I hold that against Southampton. West Ham, the only reason I like beating West Ham is for the way they celebrated when Blackburn won the league in 1996 or 1995. I've held that against. So 9 times out of 10 in my life, West Ham have been a worse team than Man United. So, but every time we play them, I still like beating them for that thing they did. So again, that's just how football was for me growing up, and I'll never change that. I never want to change it. I've seen more Arsenal fans complain about refs favouring Liverpool, but we don't spend that long on it. This isn't the big... It's a really good point, that, but what you're missing is journalists have written articles about over-celebrating. We are not seeing Gary Neville and all the journalists writing about... If they were all doing an agenda today in the papers that Liverpool being favoured by the PGMOL, we'd be talking about it in more detail. This isn't just like City fans giving them stick. It's rival fans, it's media outlets, talk shows on TV, Gary Neville, Carragher. So it's a much bigger issue than just Arsenal fans moaning about something. But I hear your point. Speaking of Arsenal buying a striker, the only striker worth buying is Osimhen, who would be too expensive in January. The rest have played in the Champions League. No, they can play for you, Pav. They can play for you in the knockout stages. That isn't true at all.
I swear that rule got rid of
5, 6 years ago. Yeah, it was. It's gone a long time ago.
I think it was a Haaland's transfer to Dortmund that was like the first one, real one.
It was a long time ago. There are tons of good players better than Sterling. This not available narrative is lame. I know Arsenal need level raisers, floor raisers. Okay, too. Listen, there are players out there. There are players. City have proven they're good. Well, we don't know how good they are yet. We have to wait and see. But City have signed some good players. Spurs got a good player today. Villa have gone and got themselves a few good players. But how happy are you, Kundle, that you didn't end up with Marcus Rashford?
Over the moon. I'm not gonna lie. I did a cartwheel, backflip, knee slide. It was a lot of celebrations here, man. Azonto, all the dance moves and stuff. But the thing is with Rashford, I do believe leaving England was a better thing for him to do. I'm intrigued to see how this one goes.
Is it just a short-term deal?
Yeah.
I think there's an option to buy at 40 million. So if he does well, the one thing that I would say they might struggle with though, Villa, is I didn't realize this. They're currently spending 92% of their turnover on salary.
Jesus, that is mental.
So with what they've spent on players, they must be breaching, and they're taking a risk. And in the hope they're going to win. There's got to be something somewhere, because the money that both Asensio and Rashford are now going to get paid, I can't see how. They're paying 78%, I think, of his salary, which means they're paying like 200,000+ of Rashford's.
They already sold Douglas Luiz and so on to cover for that, and I think that Duran deal was a sale to cover for PSR and stuff, so on. So I feel like
fair enough.
Been preparing for it from beforehand as well.
But it's on that. They're on that borderline, though. That's what I'm saying. They're there.
They'll probably have one more big one in the summer. Like
maybe
one more decently sized one in the
summer. But they need these signings to work, because if they finish 8th or 9th, which is plausible with you look at the closeness, no European football, then I don't think they'll sign him. I think if they could win the Champions League or get into the Europa League, then maybe. But yeah, they are sailing fairly close to it. But it's an interesting one. Where is that Will, the Madrid fan, mentioned City can win because of their attack, but our defense and midfield will counter that. Yeah, he did make a big, strong case for City winning, actually. City, but he hates Arsenal, so I get it.
How did Madrid get on at the weekend? Does anyone know?
Lost. I can't wait to lose 10-2 on aggregate today.
I didn't know they did, actually. City have conceded more goals this season in the league than Man United. Now, fuck off. That ain't true.
Way.
That is not true.
It is.
I feel better now. I feel better now.
No way, Nobbins.
Yes. This is why, I've been saying for months, this is the biggest issue at City, and I've still got some City fans saying, let's just bring in Musiala and Wirtz. It's like, oh yeah, where's he going to be as we're conceding the 6th at the Bernabeu?
35, we've conceded 34. What's actually crazy about that is, right, we've conceded 34. Like, Nottingham Forest 27, Newcastle 29. Like, it's defensively, again, we know what our problem is. We don't score goals, but we've only scored 28 goals this season. Oh my God. When you read it, compared to City's 48, Liverpool's 56. Jesus Christ. Like, Nottingham Forest were 40 goals. That's painful, man. But we bought a defender. Off topic, did anyone see I Show Speed? Hey, mate, I saw him get speared, right? And he looked like he was in pain. He's like really in pain.
He did good, to be fair. He did very good, I thought.
I only saw like the clip.
You can't not love that guy because he's living his dream, making a lot of money, just being himself, man. Like big up,
funny guy, man.
He did get folded in half with that spear, though. Fucking hell.
Completely.
Yeah, but
I wonder how much he got paid for that spear, though. Mate.
Millions, mate. He got millions.
I don't think he would have. He didn't need to get paid. The exposure's bigger than anything for him, innit?
Yeah, it's the same as
I hear you, but I definitely think
he got paid. Yeah, because I actually think it's WWE that want his audience. I
think like they were letting him stream and everything, so like he was getting money off his own stream that was following him all.
Yeah, he
around
was
the place.
live. Yeah,
so he probably made a bunch of money off that.
Arsenal fans like Igal had this superior attitude.
You know what I don't get about this though? Why can't Arsenal have a bit of a big ego? Because they've been very good for the past 3. I know they haven't won a trophy, but they have been one of the best sides in England for the past 3 years. They're allowed to sort of laugh at most of our clubs and go, haha, we've been better than you recently. We've and in the immediate short term after the game, they more often than not get a good result, so they can go, haha, we beat you. They're allowed to have a bit of a superior attitude in the short term. They're not sitting there going, oh, we're a bigger club historically than you. I've been doing the same with Liverpool this season. I've been bigging it up this year, even though we were third last year.
It's very strange. I did see a few people go, well, it's the trophy argument as well. I find interesting because sort of, how many trophies you won? Well, are we putting a time limit on this? Because if we go down that road, it gets embarrassing for a lot of people really quickly. Yeah, the last 6.5 years. It's like, oh, you're going to time frame that? It's interesting. Yes, I do know MVP. I trained with him as a youngster, part of Team GB. I used to work for his dad as well. So, yeah, he's a great guy. Great guy. Agree, Arteta needs trophies, but 18 unbeaten against the top 6. No one else has that. He has transformed Arsenal. The trophies will come. I trust. Come on, you Gooners, is what the tan tube says here. Class from Haaland not to respond the same way when he scored, when Arsenal scored, not at the time, once screaming at his face.
It was a good thing he didn't respond like that, because could you imagine Arsenal fans if with the videos and photos of him celebrating the Amiel's face if he went on and lost 5-1?
But he did. But the last time round, he did throw a ball at someone's head, which again, I didn't think there's anything wrong with it per se. It's just,
What class from Haaland? Come on, you're actually reaching, guys. Come
on. When was the last time a team won 5-1 and were villainized? It's again, but no one. This is it. Even as a rival of Arsenal, I look at it and I'm like, you do realize if you want to pretend that you're not threatened by Arsenal in any way, leave them alone. The way you treat them tells the kid in the playground that runs around hitting the girl that he fancies. Oh, go away, hate you. That's what you're like. You are like that 10-year-old boy running around the playground being a little bit mean to the girl that he fancies. Oh no, I don't fancy her. It's obvious. If they were irrelevant to you, you wouldn't talk about them. Right. When City beat us with Rob Holding and Mustafi starting, they laughed. But when we slap them, they say it's because of Rodri is out and they made mistakes. Ha 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 is what JB says here. In fairness, Nobbins hasn't done it. Nobbins has been very honest about his club's flaws. George, the headdress, traditional or fashion?
Durag Diaries, man. Get to know.
Hey, when are you doing your branded ones, bro? Let us know, man.
The man said about do-rags. Tom wears them. When we're in Germany, he wears them all the time.
What?
See, I'm from the era though, when we were younger, everyone used to wear them. They were in the sort of the early 2000s. They were just everyone wore them fashion-wise. Them or bandanas. It was like a thing everywhere. I think that was Eminem's fault. I think. And Justin Timberlake, them two, they got a lot to answer for. Beckham as well. By the way,
are you justifying why you wore it, Terry? Is that what
I know? I didn't personally wear one. No. I used to wear bandanas, but yeah, a lot of people. I'm from East London though, but it was different from me. When I moved to Essex, you see these guys. Like there was this one guy that used to come out of us, and he used to wear he had really long ones, and then he used to wear his baseball cap over the top. Right? I was like, why are you doing that? He goes, it's a look. And I remember me and my brother trying to explain to him, I get it's a look for certain people, but you know what they're for? He's like, yeah, they're like a bandana. He's like, oh, we're stopping this conversation. I left. He said they're like I said, no, they're not bandanas, bro. They're very different. He's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. Conveniently, they ignore Haaland pointing at his gold badge on his jersey, symbolizing to Gabriel, I bet you wish you had this during the game. And this is why I enjoy it, though. Both sides. I remember praising. Do you remember when Dele Alli and Ashley Young got into it? And Ashley Young turned around to him and says, come back and speak when you've won a Prem. That's fine as well. It's all fine. We should be encouraging this. It's great for football. Great for football. Reminder for Arsenal, you'll just win the humble trophy. You just won the humble trophy, is what Red Indian says here. And what part of East London? Hackney and Leytonstone, across two parts, the proper part of East London, Hackney and Leytonstone, where I'm from. And then before I left East London, I moved to what they call the Garden of East London, which is Leytonstone or Upper Leytonstone. So yeah, very suave around there. Yeah. Listen, I want to thank everyone who's tuned into the show. We're going to be back live tonight after the Chelsea game, where we're going to touch on a bit more transfer news and talk a bit more in depth about Chelsea. I thought we'd save it until that show. Thank you, boys, for coming on and talking football. Always a pleasure to sit here and share this space with you. Thank you to my users, the subscribers, everyone who's hit the like button, and all of the super chatters. You're amazing. Until next time, everyone, look after yourselves. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.